Modern moto goggles have evolved a lot. Though they look a lot different and function a lot different than they did in the yesteryear, the concept is still the same: to protect our eyes from debris. High-end motorcycle goggles have really blown up in the past 10 to 15 years, and they've gotten quite expensive. It felt great to save my money and buy the pinnacle of motorcycle goggles. The problem was that when these goggles didn't actually function well enough for me to use. It was when these new goggles started to pull me away from the race and I had to keep adjusting my helmet or keep adjusting the goggles that I realized something's not right. As I kind of looked into what's happening between my face, the goggles I bought, and the helmet that I was wearing, I realized they're not all the same. And in the long run, the most expensive goggle might not actually be the best goggle for you.
You said there's all the different helmets, right? And they fit all different ways. And then there's all these different goggles that fit all different ways in people's heads. And so that's not even just a 3-part variable. They all compound on each other.
That's Charles Castloo. He and I actually met for a podcast, which you can find out on the Seat Time podcast feed. He used to work for 100% and was a big mover and shaker there for a lot of the goggles that we've seen come out over the recent years. What he's talking about is the crux of the problem that I was experiencing. My face, my helmet, and then the goggles is a three-way that we're trying to get to work together. The problem is that my head might not fit in this helmet the way that someone else's will, which means that the goggles won't fit on my face through this helmet the way that they would on someone else's. It's quite a crazy problem, and it means that we have to try out quite a few different goggles before we find the right goggle that's going to work for us with the helmet, the head, and the face that we have.
We literally just bought every helmet we could buy and just had every person within the office try on different helmets with different goggles and different foam thicknesses and strap lengths and strap tension and strap height. And that's essentially how we got after it. But again, there's still all those different variables that you can't cover, but that's the way we handled it.
But what about all the marketing hype? The ads that I always see talk about how the race winner, the champions out there are using the best goggle on the market, the most expensive goggle.
The scenario where the consumer thinks the most expensive thing is the best thing, if the high level athletes that the brand's marketing with feel the same way and act the same way, then this feeds into and fuels that consumer's thought, right? So if every athlete 100% has, all of a sudden wears the Outriggers goggle, they're all going, oh, that must be the best goggle. That the mid-level price one can't work or something. But in reality, it comes down to how it fits and how it functions on that particular rider, helmet, and face.
What Charles and I are talking about is goggle fitment. And it's interesting because as we're having this conversation, I realized, wait a minute, there's a better process than just buying 5 goggles on Amazon and returning the ones you don't like. That could be a lot more helpful for us riders, and then of course, much better for the manufacturers of these goggles. Now that there's so many online retailers that are selling glasses, you can spend $5 to $10 and you can get a kit and they send you a bunch of try-on glasses. Why couldn't we do that with goggles? You spend $10, you get a little box that's got all of y'all's goggles in it. You get to keep it for a week and you put everything back in. As long as you get the goggles back and they're in good shape, then it's like $10 off whatever goggle you want to order. Why does this matter, right? Why are we in this place where goggles might not be fitting the way that we thought they should be fitting from years past? And a lot of it has to do with the Outriggers that we've seen come out on goggles.
The concept would be that the strap, instead of being attached to the frame, attaches to the Outrigger further out so that the frame can sit within the helmet and sit on the sides of your face, and then have the strap offset sort of to allow clearance around the helmet padding and shell.
So the concept there is just what Charles is talking about. That Outrigger is trying to bring the strap of the goggle further out to the front of the helmet, so then the goggle can sit closer to your face. But because of different sizes within these helmets, different faces and how deep they do or do not sit in the helmet, that goggle might actually not be able to sit on a rider's face or conform to the way that it needs to fit on their face because of different durometers, harder plastics for all the quick lock mechanisms, and then the magnets that we're now seeing built into a lot of modern day motorcycle goggles.
But if you're actually pulling on it and getting it seated against your face, a really inexpensive goggle that's very flexible frame without outriggers and without any hard plastic components, it's absolutely going to form better around your face than one that's hard and doesn't have that
Interesting.
sort of articulation around your face. You're relying solely at that point on the foam to sit in around your face and touch everywhere and make it feel comfortable.
The Rideco XD goggles is a great example of what I am talking about. They use magnets for this lens, which is very form-fitted to fit on these goggles. One latch, two latches, and this bad boy can just come right off so that you can easily switch out these lenses. But the problem is this lens now can't bend, right? It's very form-fitted due to the magnets that are inside of it, which means too that this frame has to be a lot less malleable so that these locking mechanisms can work.
So the quick release stuff, totally get it. That was a focus of ours when I was there to make that. When you do it though, you have latches and clips and things. There has to be some really firm plastic for that stuff to latch on. You can't have a lever that's gonna, carabiner over and latch in the lens on super pliable polyurethane or whatever it is material. So that even compounds what you were talking about, where the stiff frame becomes even more stiffer in certain areas so that you can have the latching mechanisms and have a positive seat against a hard plastic.
Now, why do I have all these goggles laid out in front of you? These are a lot of the goggles that I have tried. With the Liat, they do make a non-outrigger style and an outrigger style. Which one do I prefer with my Liat helmet? I prefer the non-outrigger. That's what I'm finding as I continue to test these different goggles. Again, here's EVS's outrigger goggle, and then here's their non-outrigger goggle. Still, I prefer the non-outrigger. It's a little bit less stiff, fits on my face better. When it comes to the Scotts, I did the same thing. This is the Scott Fury, and this is their non-outrigger. When I need to wear a roll-off system, the Scott Fury is my non-outrigger goggle of choice. I like their roll-off system the best and the wideness that it has here. Again, with my face, the helmets that I wear and the fitment of the goggle, this is what works best for me. And this is part of the problem is I've got multiple brands of goggles. I've got multiple reasons to wear those goggles, different lenses, different locking mechanisms. It's not an easy system and you have to play with it because just buying the most expensive goggle does not mean that you're going to get the most performance and fitment out of those goggles with your face, with your head, and whatever helmet it is that you're wearing.
You could be locked in and be like, man, this goggle with this foam thickness and this frame material density and this strap tension works incredible for me actually across all 6 of these helmets or whatever, whereas maybe an older goggle only worked on 2 or 3 of them, but man, we nailed it here. And you have somebody else come in and put on one of those helmets with that goggle and go, this pinches my nose, and you're like, oh well, okay, it's all out the window now. I don't have any real silver bullets that are going to solve and fix give advice for anybody, but really again, man, it just comes down to trial and error and see what works for you.
Now this may seem like a nuanced subject to some, but when it comes down to the fact that I couldn't breathe, I continuously was ripping my helmet back up because of the fact that the goggles were then slipping down past my nose, it was completely taking me away from the race. That is not the way to get into a flow state. What I want to do here at Seat Time is help take away some of the headaches that can cause you from not riding the best to your abilities. And I believe that playing with this concept of goggle, head, helmet fitment is a place that we can become a little bit more comfortable and make sure that we are in the best position to get into that flow state when we're either on a motocross track, we're racing an enduro, or we're just out there riding our dirt bikes. If you found a helmet goggle combo that works well for you, please put that in the comments. We want to make sure that we're helping people start to find a certain way. So someone might like a certain goggle, or they may want to buy a certain brand helmet, and so they want to be able to try to figure out what might be the right way for them to do that. If we get a chance to see you on the trail, that would be awesome, but if nothing else, we will see you here on the internet. Enjoy getting seat time, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, do whatever it is the kids are doing these days, and if nothing else, we'll see you for the next one. Peace.